Could Snoke be Sifo-Dyas and Plagueis? Why is that? Prove it to me! Greetings! From the start I want to point out that this theory was first introduced by me on April 16th, 2016 on my Russian YouTube channel Wookiepedia TV, and believe me that I wouldn't make this video unless in the Sunday morning of October 30th of 2016 I wouldn't woke up, check my YouTube channel and notice my theory to be snatched and simplified by some bloggers, and I was pissed off because nobody mentioned me. Hey, everybody acknowledged Qui-Gon Josh as original author of the theory. That's disappointing. So I remade my theory video in English and developed new channel just for English speaking audience so that the word would spread out. So let's begin. Could Snoke be Sifo-Dyas and Darth Plagueis? If somebody has an amnesia, I remind you that Darth Plagueis was a master of Darth Sidious. At least we guess that Sidious was Plagueis' apprentice, believing Chancellor Palpatine's Sidious's words, keeping in mind that Sith are skillful in lying. We also get to know that Plagueis was able to cheat death, and that Plagueis' apprentice killed his master while he was sleeping. And here we have to again remind ourselves that Sith are skillful liars. From all that Chancellor taught to Anakin, we can only believe one thing, that Plagueis had an apprentice, and this apprentice killed his master. Quite an obvious Sith behavior, right? And at this point, I assume that some of you are already thinking that Plagueis couldn't be Dyas, because Plagueis is moon and Dyas human. And there is a little correction. Plagueis being moon is not canon anymore. Him being moon race is a part of the Star Wars Legends expanded universe that is non-canon. This was done after the decision made by Lucasfilm Limited on April 25th of 2014 that the Star Wars canon from that point are 6 at that point Star Wars movies, now 7. Star Wars, Clone Wars cartoon and all the licensed material released further from that point. All other materials are called Star Wars Legends, non-canon, and they also kept themselves the rights to scoop ideas from this expanded universe, like heroes and plot twists, so that franchise could flourish and expand. We can already see this in Star Wars Rebels cartoon series, where Kanan Jarrus, spoiler, loses his sight and becomes suspiciously familiar with the Jedi Ram Koda, a character of computer game Force Unleashed. So, those of you who read James Luceno book Darth Plagueis can chill a little. It could be that Star Wars scriptwriters could use Luceno's ideas in the future. Just for now, it is as it is, and the things I told in the beginning are actually the only canon evidence we got right now. So, actually, we don't even know what race Plagueis is belonging to, and here is where the room for the speculations appears, and I am gonna use that space in full. But first, who actually is Sifo-Dyas? Human, Master Jedi, a friend of Count Dooku, ex-member of the Jedi High Council. He ordered the creation of the Great Army of the Republic, but soon after that Sifo-Dyas was killed by the Pike Syndicate following the order of Count Dooku, or Darth Tyrannus as we know him. Dooku at the same time was already Sidious's apprentice, who before that had another apprentice, Darth Maul. As we know, Sith apprentices are trying all the time to get themselves their own apprentices and kill their masters at the same time. There could only be two, right? And there should always be two, but there is a time of passage where there are 3 and one is being eliminated, usually the previous master, right? So Sidious could cooperate, gaining himself a new apprentice who could lead the Confederacy of Independent Systems, unlike Muscle Maul, right? With the elimination of his own master, Sidious loved to execute by making some other's hands dirty. Haven't you noticed? And all those speeches about killing in sleep, well, I do not believe. Sidious lied to many and a lot, right in face, so it is unlikely that he would suddenly tell all the truth to Anakin. Besides, he was interested Anakin to seek for Plagueis' apprentice, not Plagueis himself. And if he would told Anakin the truth of how Plagueis Sifo-Dyas, was killed or how his disappearance was covered, that could get Anakin suspicious of whom Plagueis was in his disguise. By the way, Darth Tyrannus used to have apprentices besides being an apprentice of Sidious, so there were not always only 2 Sith, but more, and this indicates that Sidious could have an apprentice of his own while being under tutorage of Plagueis. So, how did Dyas presumably die or disappear? Tyrannus paid Pike's syndicate to attack Sifo-Dyas' ship. Ship crashed on the Obadiah moon. Dyas' body was never found, and he was officially considered to be lost. In the Season 6, Episode 10 of Star Wars Clone Wars, named The Last One, Jedi Master Plo Koon finds the spaceship and discovers the lightsaber of Sifo-Dyas. Plo Koon messages to the Jedi Council. Mace Windu remarks that Sifo-Dyas was on the Council before the invasion of Naboo, but because he foresaw a great conflict, his idea was considered too extreme. Obi-Wan Kenobi reminds that during his stay on Kamino, he learned that it was Sifo-Dyas who ordered the creation of the clone troopers. Yoda feels that more is going on here and wants to find the truth. Yoda is told that the Felucians cremated Sifo-Dyas' body and that other Jedi was with him. Ex-Chancellor Valorum explains that Sifo-Dyas was sent to negotiate with the Pikes regarding an underground war. However, the negotiations were postponed as Yoda ordered Sifo-Dyas to intervene in a conflict on Felucia. When asked about the other Jedi, Valorum says only his personal aide Silman accompanied Sifo-Dyas. Anakin and Obi-Wan traveled to Obadiah to confront the Pike Syndicate. They revealed that Tyrannus had paid them to shoot down the ship and that for insurance Silman was kept locked away by the Pikes. Silman, who had been locked up for 10 years, is now crazy. He says Pikes are not to be trusted, along with Dooku, who proceeds to kill him before he could reveal who really killed the Jedi Master. It is somehow suspicious that Silman was killed by Dooku in such a rush. I mean, the point of killing Silman was to hide the truth about the fact that the creation of Clone Army was really a work of the Dark Lord of the Sith. But by killing Silman, Dooku actually proves that, and Jedi Council actually approves that, and they even say all that they could do now is play his game. By his, they mean the Sith Master. So they actually acknowledge that when Tyrannus killed Silman, it was done by the hands of the Dark Master, the Sith Master. So what was the point? I believe the actual point of doing that, killing Silman, it was that Silman was Dyas' companion during that mission, and at that time, Chancellor Valorum's personal assistant, Silman could have known more about Dyas' real identity and even be Dyas' Plagueis' spy in Chancellor Valorum's office. But why would Dooku secretly preserve Dyas? Dyas was considered to be granted with the power of foresight, a wise man that could predict the future. And if Dyas was actually a Darth Plagueis disguised, then preserving him alive at the edge of life and death would be a wise thing for Tyrannus to do, because left with no strength, Darth Plagueis could still remain a great counselor for the Tyrannus. Tyrannus maybe even kept Dyas in secret from Sidious. And isn't it suspicious that an ordinary man survived the crash, but Jedi Master died in it? No way. Dyas could be injured enough to be kidnapped, but dying? No. The boss of the Pike Syndicate even tells the Obi-Wan and Anakin that they gave Dyas to Tyrannus. So Pike Syndicate admits that they gave away Dyas to Tyrannus. Ta-da! Even though Silman tells that Dyas is dead. Actually, in Star Wars Expanded Universe, there is one other, not canon yet detail, as far as I know. After the crashing on Obadiah, Tyrannus took Dyas' body and preserved it in cryocamera, and then, while creating General Grievous's new body, gave it the blood of Dyas and his lightsaber. But this part is non-canon, as I know. Still, it gives an idea of how things could be working out. And given that this part is non-canon, it is still suspicious that Dyas' blood and lightsaber were given to Grievous, as if Tyrannus wanted these details to be noticed by Jedis to make them believe that Dyas was dead. And actually Silman is right when telling that Sifo-Dyas is dead, because that mask of Plagueis actually is dead. Actually, even Darth Plagueis is formally dead at that point. At that point, Darth Plagueis adopts third impersonation of his, Snoke, not yet a supreme leader, but just a head in the jar, a prisoner of Bacta Tank. Who do you think is in the Bacta Tank shown in the Rogue One trailer? Who would be guarded by Emperor's elite guard, and as we know, Darth Vader didn't wear robes, so it must be Emperor himself kneeling before that tank. Guess before whom would Emperor himself kneel? His former master, Plagueis, who was actually Sifo-Dyas, who survived the crash and whose body was taken by Tyrannus, secretly preserved in Bacta Tank, serving as an advisor to him. And when Tyrannus was killed, Sidious for sure ordered his loyal man to visit Tyrannus' castle to destroy all the evidence that could lead Tyrannus to Chancellor. And there they discovered Plagueis, formerly known as Sifo-Dyas, now Snoke. Still alive in Bacta Tank, Sidious kept his former master to himself, keeping him in the Bacta Tank, healing him as much so that he couldn't become a threat, using him as an advisor, so as Tyrannus did, and showing him the respect, because for sure he respected him. And guess who took over many of the forces of the Empire when Sidious and Vader were gone? Snoke healed to the point of being able to step out of the tank. Now, the Supreme Leader Snoke, formerly Darth Plagueis and Jedi Master Sifo-Dyas. He was a part of both Sith and Jedi, and was abandoned by both. He was now truly grey user of the Force, and that's why Snoke knows so much about all the events that happened, because he still had all the intel while recreating in Bacta Tank. He had a lot of time for meditation and rethinking. I really think Sidious got his former master away because he thought that Plagueis' plan was too straightforward. His weak point was ordering creation of clone army by himself after Jedi Council refused his advice, so this could become a problem in the future. That's why Sidious ordered Tyrannus to kill Plagueis, yet he still kept respect for him. That is why he kept him alive after discovery of Bacta Tank, and because Plagueis was relatively weak at that time. So that's it. That's my theory. It appeared mostly because of the mystery around the characters of Darth Plagueis, Sifo-Dyas and Snoke, three persons of whom we still do not know much, and the possible link between them, and I think they do actually complete each other and make this huge Star Wars Grey Cardinal Shadow Puppet Master thing reveal. If you do have any suggestions, so let me know in the commentary section. Subscribe to the channel, click like, spread the word. This is a channel that derived from my Russian channel, and I will be developing both of them. So keep in touch. It was me, Escriva. See ya.